Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mac Yak. How are all
Hello.
of our fellow nerds doing this evening? Bruce has to show off as always. So,
That's what
welcome
I'm
to
here
show
for.
number 139 of Mac Yak. So, we have a somewhat interesting show lined up for everybody this evening. Hopefully I won't totally screw this up since I'm the one hosting and producing at the same time.
You've had practice.
Yeah,
We have faith in you.
Yeah.
that's terrifying. So tonight we are joined by Dave from Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Please say hi, Dave.
Hello, how are you? Hi,
I am
everyone.
wonderful. So we're going to talk about a lot of beige stuff tonight so that Jay can puke all over his keyboard. Or fall asleep, whichever happens first.
Jay is very gradually falling in love with the beige. I'm watching it happen. I'm watching it happen on a daily basis.
Nope. Nope. Lies.
Jay loves beige.
I love selling beige.
Uh-huh.
Just like I love the MacBook Air because it's so easy to fix. I don't
It
want
is.
it.
It is definitely worth mentioning that there are some very good live streams out there at the moment with Jay repairing some very old Macs. So, if you haven't seen them, get in there and check them out. Extremely entertaining.
He's been muddling his way through.
I'll get there. Hopefully before the end of the year, my house will be beige free once again. Oh, Sean has jokes.
I know Sean will like these topics.
Yes.
I know
I was
he'll like
actually
at least
thinking-
one of them.
I was actually going to have Sean on, but I thought maybe with him getting ready for VCF tomorrow, he might be a little occupied. So I did actually suggest him come on, but he kind of, I don't know if he declined or if he just like, eh. So, but that's okay. We love Sean anyway.
Oh, Sean. Yeah, well. The thing is, on Mac Yak, when there's things to discuss and decisions that need to be made, we do it by vote. Majority vote, goes through. And every time these guys bring, hey, we should have Sean back on the show, I vote it down, of course. And
Because he knows we just. Yeah.
because my vote counts for 5, I'm not going to see Sean for a while, but maybe one day.
I have to mention, Sean, that I should be, hopefully, receiving in the next few days a dual processor for a UMax power, whatever thing it is. UMax clone, the dual processor version. So,
Wow, you're really selling it, Bruce.
yeah, I can't remember what it's called. Sean knows what it is. He knows what it is. What is it? What's it called, Sean? The dual processor UMax
The
thing?
Power Tower, I think.
Is it? No, that was power computing, wasn't it? UMax was the.
Oh, might have been.
Yes.
His interest.
Yes, I thought that might pique his interest. So, it'll be interesting.
He will probably be writing you a large PayPal transfer request.
Well, I think it may end up in the hands of another, short bearded balding guy in the US. Actually,
I don't have a beard, so it ain't me.
Yeah,
I am short, fat, and balding.
And I ain't short, so it's not me.
So it's got to be the other short, fat guy that I know.
Yeah.
By the way, Mike, there's going to be some questions about where half of the Mac Yak crew is tonight. So we should probably address that.
I ticked off Greg, and he decided he didn't want to be here. So, which is fine, because, and then Steve decided that his sister-in-law's brothers, some family members' rehearsal dinner for their wedding was more important than here.
Which is just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I cannot believe that Steve would go through that hell to not be here. I mean, who rehearses for a damn wedding? Seriously.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
in case you change your mind, you know.
It's a
I'm not
cash grab. That's all it is.
And then what is it? Grudy's not feeling very well tonight, so he's not
Yeah.
with us. So.
He is drunk, sloshed on the floor, could barely type a message saying, I can't get up. I'll see you next time.
But
So he's
Lydia's
stuck with us
here.
today. Yeah, cats are making up for the lack in crew.
Yes. I have Lydia behind me here. Whoops, there she is. The Queen of Darkness herself is gracing our presence. So,
And I think Dave has about 5 cats on his desk right now.
They're surrounding me. So,
Yeah. We're good. We're good. We got a full team here.
so let's jump into this news so far. So, whoever typed in the about the Facebook and Twitch data breaches, I think it was Jay.
Yeah, basically, long story and boring story short. Facebook, on the day of the outage, it became known that Facebook had its data compromised. So if you haven't already, change your password and get ready for a lot of spam emails and phishing and stuff to come your way. Someone on Discord shared that Twitch also had a data breach. And Twitch, being slightly smarter than Facebook, has proactively reset all the stream keys. So if you find yourself streaming on Twitch, make sure that your OBS or whatever software has the new stream key in there. I think you have to log in and then they'll walk you through it. But also in the Twitch data breach, usernames, passwords, stream keys, everything was stolen. I think the service itself, I believe, was stolen. All the codes, everything that makes it work, everything they got cleaned out.
Oh goodness!
That's bad.
So yeah, change your passwords, and you're good for about a month until they get hacked again.
So it's my understanding that the Facebook outage was caused by human error. They said that was what they're basically
That's quite
saying.
an error.
what
I
they
think they
said.
have their DNS records wiped globally.
So yeah. Anyhow, that's what they're basically saying about it. So.
So on another note, in actual Apple related news. Not that this is really news, but 10 years ago today, 10 years ago this week, Steve Jobs passed away, and Apple has not been the same ever since. It's been a royal hell. So let us all cry now and give a moment of silence for the late Steve Jobs.
Yes.
He was a complete jerk, but he was an outstanding businessman, and he knew exactly what he wanted. So
Yeah. He was an inspirational individual. I mean, I've mentioned this on the show before when we've focused on Jobs. There are a number of portrayals of Steve Jobs in movies and things like that, whether it be, there's the Jobs movie and Steve Jobs movie and that other one, I can't remember what that one was. The other one was called. But anyhow, there's plenty of portrayals of him, and they always in those shows like to focus on that side of him where he was sort of terrorizing his staff, which we know he did. They always like to focus on that, but what they tend not to focus on is how inspirational he was, how he motivated people to get the best out of them and come up with things that they wouldn't have necessarily come up with, and people followed him. As one person did actually say about him, he is someone who I will always love and always hate, because he had those incredible extremes of his personality. So very sad.
I mean,
very
he
sad
was
loss.
a sucky father, if you believe everything you read, and not a nice boss to work for. But that doesn't mean he wasn't a damn genius. So,
but there were people that did like working for him. This is the thing. I mean, yes, I mean he could surely make your life a living hell, but there were some people that really did actually like working for him. So. I guess there were different sides.
But he was in California and I was in Miami, so he never got a chance to scream at me. So I didn't mind.
But, very sad. Very sad that I mean he actually I passed away just a year after my father passed away. So, it was kind of like I'd had my father pass away, and then sort of someone who was, who I found very motivational. There was a little excerpt of Steve Jobs giving a speech, I think, at a university or something, just talking about, just giving people a few life tips, and it's actually really good stuff. Really, sort of really kind of, I thought, interesting points that he made about that. Things like it's that whole thing about, if you are doing something that you enjoy, you are much more likely to be motivated and excel at it. So as much as possible, do try and find that thing that inspires you, because you will, if you work in that field, you'll be, you'll do a much better job than, sort of doing something you don't enjoy. It's fairly obvious, I know, but yeah.
So that's why I cannot get motivated to finish this stack of beige behind me. Enjoy it. So he wraps his car around a bridge a month ago, and now he's in pain. I think my story about him being drunk, passed out on the floor is a lot more likely, but we'll leave it there. Fun little anecdote about Steve Jobs is that I met him a few times, because at the time I spent a lot of time, my store sent me to Cupertino to help out on projects and stuff. And the first 2 times I met him, he was still at least externally healthy, wearing his traditional clothes and having his sushi in the local cafe and all that. The last time I saw him, he was skin over bone, still on campus, walking around doing his thing. But until the last time I saw him, you can believe that his Mercedes, I think it was an SLR, was parked in front of the building in the handicap spot without fail. So I think in the end he got driven to work by someone else. They still parked in that spot.
But he had no number plate on his Mercedes. Is that correct? I vaguely remember someone saying that he had. Oh, did he? Yeah. Okay.
I have to dig into the photos, because of course I took photos of it. Like the car ever changed, I took a photo every time I saw it.
There was some sort of loop. There was some sort of loophole where you could not have a license plate on a car for, I think it was like 12 months or something like that, under some sort of loophole, and he would just renew this thing year after year after year. It cost him a lot of money to do so, but of course his excuse was that if it was a number plate, he could be identified, and everyone's sort of like, mate, if they see that Mercedes with no number plate, they know exactly who is in the car.
Yeah.
But,
It didn't say Macintosh on it,
No. So he constantly got new cars, so he could only have a temporary plate. Yeah. So, dear, oh dear, goodness me. Okay.
So, on a lighter note, after that, so Mac Yak has hit 1,300 subscribers, and thank you to everybody who's subscribed and shows up week after week.
That's great.
But
great.
The other short, fat, bald guy in the stream here tonight hit 20,000 subs. Yeah, I'm talking about the old one.
The old one, yes. Steve's dead.
That one. So we're about ready to kick him off of Mac Yak.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's
I'm
way
still
too big
hovering.
for us now.
Yeah, I can only come back on as a guest now.
Yeah. So his tenure on Mac Yak ends after today.
Yeah,
so
that's
we'll see you next week, though.
We've done our part, We got him when he had 5 subs to his name. We got him to where he is today. His streams and content have nothing to do with that. And now we move on to the next charity case.
Yes, well, as I know, I mean, it's the usual thing that I get when if I go through a big milestone like this, I always get we hate you, congratulations. That's always pretty much the same thing I get from the Mac Yak guys, because they all know that I just fluked the subscribers. I didn't actually do any work for it, and all of the ones that I didn't fluke were ones that I got from Mac Yak. So what can I say?
Yeah, it used to be like I said, we do stuff by votes, and we discuss a lot of changes to the show, who to have on as a guest. And before he reached 20K, Bruce used to vote, and he would put his vote in. That's it. Now his lawyer shows up to vote for him. Those kind of changes have us thinking maybe shouldn't be there anymore.
Dear. Sorry, Bruce does not want to incriminate himself with this vote, so.
Yeah. But congratulations either way.
Yes,
Thank you.
congratulations,
Thank
Bruce.
you.
That's fantastic. Absolutely.
Much
And
appreciated.
Dave is next.
Yes.
20K subs, Dave. You gonna...
I got a long way to go before I get there.
I think if you do another rigged giveaway, you might get
there. Might have to give away that artistic Mac Plus, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, you're certainly not going to be able to sell it, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, he probably would. Some sucker would buy it.
Well, I know Sean won't. He's too terrified of it. So
Yes.
that guy would buy it.
Don't tempt me.
No, it's not hard.
If for anyone who doesn't know what we're referring to, jump onto Dave's channel and have a look at his last couple of live streams. He got hold of one of the most revolting looking Mac Pluses you have ever seen in your life. It's in some sort of desert camo or something. I don't know if it's used. Maybe it was used as a set piece on a pantomime or something. But it is unbelievable.
And we can say that it's ugly, like hideous, after we saw Sean's Mac, after we saw Steve's Clown Mac, and there was another one. So out of all those, yours still comes out as the most.
I don't know. I still think that Steve's Clown Mac kind of beats out Dave's.
Yeah,
Dave's Plus is actually kind of cool in its own way.
Yeah,
but
Oh my God, you're converting.
Steve's Clown Mac is definitely all kinds of horrendous. I mean,
that is absolutely disgustingly hideous.
You guys should do a collaboration video. You, Steve, and Sean, and whoever else has a hideous Mac, you should do a collaboration video with a face hideous Mac and demo them a little. It'll be fun.
Oh my God!
That might get me to.
And painted pink, and I'll treat you well.
That might get me to 20,000 subs, or it might get me down to 0. After showing that thing,
yeah.
The
only way to find out is to try it.
Well, it's a good thing we're discussing Dave's Mac Plus because that's the topic of our show tonight. It's hacking, modding, and doing whatever else to your classic and vintage Macs. Oh, so hopefully you guys are in for a ride. So, for the main topic tonight, hacking and modding your vintage or modern Macs. How far is too far? How far is not enough? So, we have an expert modder here on the show, named by Dave. He has done modifications to several machines. Jay has modified a few machines, usually with a sledgehammer. So,
nothing beige.
I don't know what Bruce's.
I've done a few. I can certainly participate in this conversation.
So I have to say I have not done any yet, but I am working on it. So what I want to do is just like what possesses people to do these horrendous and strange modifications on their Macs. Like, Dave, what possessed you to paint that Mac Plus like that?
I just put it in an elementary school, and I said, all right, guys, go to town. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
That worked out well.
Third grade art project. That's perfect.
Actually, not to change the subject, I actually reached out to the person that I bought this from and trying to find out how this thing came to be. I have not heard back yet, so maybe they're too ashamed. I don't know. So, but anyway, well, for me, okay, I'll use my cube as a good example, and I give Sean a lot of credit too because I always watched his channel, still do. Friend of YouTube, all you guys are my friends on YouTube, and I like to push it as much as I can but trying to keep it in the same proprietary format. In other words, jam his most powerful CPU card that I can in it, which I haven't. Sean gets the prize for that, but I'll get there. And then as far as like the graphics card, I've got probably the most powerful one you can put in it from a PC that was flashed. And I'll tell you what, you can game on this sucker like nobody's business if you want to play games. Never tried Minecraft on it though. That might be a tax it a little bit, but doing the old vintage games, no problem. And then as far as, the memory, you can only do so much in it. Got an SSD in it. I got 3 partitions. The other mod that I'm doing is my, you can just barely see it here. And this has been ongoing for about almost a year and a half. And DOS Dude, he finally got back to me. He figured out what the issue is on this. So this G3 will soon be a G4. And it's going to be a much faster G4 stock. And then what we're going to do is we are still going to try to put a more modern super drive in it. There will be some trickery to do to it. Be a lot of hacking, but I made a ribbon cable to accommodate it, and that took some effort to make that.
I'll go with Blu-ray while you're at it.
I don't think it'll handle that, but anyway, yeah. So that's another thing I'm doing, and of course the most modded thing I did was my Franken-Mac up here, and basically it's a Mac Mini in a SE30 case, but I still tried to keep as much as the original form factor. I cheated a little bit though. I put the biggest display you could possibly put in it, a 10.1 flat screen. I'm just trying to envision this the way it could have been if this technology was available back then. They might have made that more accommodative, so I don't think it's too offensive on it. The back, this runs HDMI. It runs you can run pretty much any kind of screen on it, but I got the biggest one you can jam in this thing. Has an SSD in it. Let's see, it's a 2012 Mac Mini. It's got Catalina on it. It's all wireless. The wireless antenna, I've hooked that all up, and I use the reset and programmer switch to turn it on with. So I thought by locating a very tiny little tack switch on it, and the main power's on the back, it's fused, so that way if you get something happen, you can kill it real quick here. Cut the power off to it. And it weighs only a little over 5 pounds, not like the almost 20 pounds it used to weigh, right? So, so some people, you get a lot of enthusiasts that say, "Oh my God, why did you do that?" Well, I had an extra. I have lots of parts of different machines and stuff, and so I just said, "Well, it'd be pretty cool to try to do that, but try to keep it looking still like a compact Mac." And so I thought I did a pretty good job of it myself. And on the back of it, I wanted to hide all the ugliness. So if you saw it all the way around, that is actually held on by 4 neodyme magnets. They're very strong little magnets. And you pop it off, and you can get access to all the ports, even the SD card. If you want to put an SD card in it, you can still put the back on it. It would not interfere with it. Or if
Very
you wanted
cool.
to put a stick drive in
Question
it.
from Frederick: how much cat hair is in it?
None right now. I keep it covered when it's not on. I don't have my machines plugged in when they're not on. The only exception is my iMac, but it goes to a power strip. It's on a surge suppressor, which I got free at work, dumpster diving, put a new battery in it. Thing works great. And so that's
Nice.
so if I lose power, I can still be on here for a few more minutes. So yeah.
Is it just me? Is one of your shells behind you really crooked?
It's an optical illusion. It's straight. I mean, this is back here. Yeah, it's straight.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's just the way it is. I think the camera's making it do that a little bit. But yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, no, it's straight.
I've been sitting here waiting for stuff to just slowly slide off during the show and then come crashing down.
But yeah, I mean, and then like on the G4 Cube power supply, I just did a real simple little trick on it here as far as propping it up a little bit off the counter. Helps it definitely keep a little cooler. I mean, those things get hotter than a firecracker if you had them on for a while, and so it does help. It still gets warm, but not as bad as it used to. And then jumping back to the cube, we have a 12-volt fan in it, and I have an autonomous fan controller in it. And I actually found that searching the web, people get these little CNC. They're for CNC machines, and they're just a tiny little board because a lot of these CNC machines don't have fans on them, so that's a way to keep them cool. Well, they lend themselves perfectly to the computers because you can. This will run 12, 18, and 24 volt. This will actually run 2 fans if you need it. I just have the one in there. And the only time that thing really ramps up is if I'm like trying to do iMovie on it. That thing just ramps full blast, but you know what? It keeps cool. I mean, I take my little digital infrared thermometer and stick in the top of it there, and the hottest that I've ever seen it get that I can measure is like 149 degrees, which is warm, but not crazy warm. But yeah, I mean, but like I said,
65 Celsius for those that don't speak that weird.
Yeah, Fahrenheit. Yes, yeah. We're in California. We're on Fahrenheit. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I do metric at work.
In the rest of the country, we're on centigrade when it comes to working on computers and cars. But in California, they just have to be different.
Yeah.
So a really interesting thing, I think, when it comes to these sorts of mods that we're doing now. Obviously, Dave, you've said that you as much as possible try and preserve the external look of things, and try and ramp them up. I'd just be very interested to know what ultimately everyone's opinions are on people. I won't use the word destroy because that's not actually correct, but someone taking a working computer and turning it into a Franken Mac or whatever the case may be. What are people's thoughts on the idea of getting something that is in working condition, pulling the guts out of it and sticking something modern or something different inside it? What are people's thoughts on that?
Well, I'm
Jay's
kind of
voted
against it, but I am working on doing. I haven't done it yet, but I am planning a mod on my cube as well, not upgrade in a sense, but visual modifications. So, and yes, it's a perfectly working computer, but it won't affect the operation of the computer. It'll just make it look weird. Well, not weird. It'll make it look cool.
I'm not necessarily talking about turning something into, a fish tank or a clock or something like that, but the idea of, ultimately taking the guts out and putting a different computer inside, which of course we've seen people do with things like retro pies, or they've put an Intel in an old Mac. I'm just curious about that because, obviously if the person owns it, they can do whatever they want with it. But, from a preservation perspective, people do obviously get their nose a bit out of joint when it comes to someone taking something that's working and, ripping the guts out of it and putting something else in. But,
I think if it's broken, yeah, sure, whatever, do with it what you want. But if it's working or can easily be fixed, it's not a secret. I don't give a crap about beige, but I'm still recapping all these machines behind me so that someone who does enjoy them can enjoy them. They'll buy them off me, put it on their desk, and start using it. Because I know that whoever wants these things will appreciate that. I could say, oh, they all need recapping. They all need batteries. They all need new drives. Screw this. I'm going to chop them up and turn it into, I don't know, I'm going to squeeze a Mac Mini or a Mac Pro in there or something. That's not my thing. But if it's busted and it takes hundreds of dollars to repair it, parts are no longer available, etc., yeah, do your thing. But even then, and of course that's, if it's yours, like you said, you can do whatever you want. But even then, if you have a Mac Plus or SE30 or one of those little tower thingies, someone else will want the bezel for it. You can still make someone else happy with just the case parts or a dead board or whatever. So I don't know. I think when it comes to preserving history, I guess, you should just not do it. That's me.
Yeah, because I have done that. I have put the guts of a modern computer inside a broken Macintosh Classic, something I did several years ago. And I'll put a picture up of it while I'm talking about it. So this is it here. So I bought a Mac Classic, and it was battery bombed inside, and it hadn't just damaged the logic board, it had also damaged part of the chassis and stuff like that. So I got a little Intel Mac Mini and plonked that inside. Here's a little cutaway of what it looks like inside. It is the bodgiest job you've ever seen in your life. It is held together with cable ties and a prayer. And essentially,
I respected it until I saw the cutout.
So inside, basically, so here's the really important thing. I had one real primary goal with this. I did not want to damage or alter the chassis in any way to make this. So I didn't want to cut holes in it. I didn't want to drill holes in it. I didn't want to do anything like that. So what I ended up doing was I ran the main power socket to just a little double adapter type thing. And then I connected up the power supply to the Mini and the power supply to the LCD. And it essentially just, so that almost works like the plug in the back just works like a double adapter type thing. But if I wanted to remove everything out of that and use that case for something else in the future, it's totally unchanged. I got some black plastic, cut. I mean, I would have 3D printed something these days, but back in those days, I actually went and got someone to just to put a frame around. Sort of, in between the screen and the actual case. So there's actually a piece of opaque black plastic around the edges there. And that keyboard there is just for decoration. Obviously, it does actually work with, sort of just like a Bluetooth keyboard. But anyhow, it was just a silly thing. It's pretty stupid. If I was to do it all again now, I'd probably do it very, very differently. But, I'm a very impatient person. I spent about half an hour on it, so...
Well, that's pretty good. You only spent a half hour on it.
Well, does it work with this mouse and keyboard?
Sorry?
Does it work with the mouse and keyboard you were showing?
It can work with that mouse and keyboard. I do have a thing called a Griffin iMate where I can plug that in and then connect an ADB keyboard, have that hanging out the back. So it can theoretically work, but it's just a little bit sort of messy with the cables. What I actually do when I'm using that is I just use a Wi-Fi keyboard and Wi-Fi mouse. It's just, well, not Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, sorry. Bluetooth keyboard and mouse. So, yeah. But, it's just a bit of silliness, but it's just kind of fun seeing, a Color OS 10 image on an old classic body like that. It's just it's good fun stuff.
Yeah.
Well, pretty cool.
Like I said, that Franken, it's a very usable computer. You could take it anywhere. You could take it to Starbucks and get on your Wi-Fi and do your thing on a wireless keyboard, and you're good.
Please do that.
Yeah, can you do that?
I want to see a picture of you sitting in the window with that thing in front of you.
That would be funny.
Okay, so...
Yeah, I don't have much to contribute here. I don't really mod stuff, so... Sorry.
I mean, I know this isn't really modding, but I love being in a situation of getting an old Mac, whether it be that old G4 or whatever it might be, and like maxing it out with the maximum possible RAM, more than you could have ever have done in the day, because it was cost prohibitive. So that you can go and max them out with the RAM, and then you can go and get a modern SSD and drop that into those and get a level of performance from a Mac today that you never would have got before. I mean, I know that's not really modding it, but it sort of kind of bring it up to date. I mean, the G5 that I have in here performs better than it ever did now, with 8 gigabytes of RAM in it and an SSD drive, and they just weren't an option in the day. So,
I am all about the upgrades, definitely. I would consider modding the stuff that Dave does, the stuff that I've seen Sean do, like that black Mac SE. What is it? SE 30 plus
SE 30. Yeah. It could be any old case. I think the actual name's cut out of it.
Yeah,
there's not really much
DVD player in there, zip drive, Dolby surround sound, whatever the hell is in there. That is a mod to me, but just cramming it full of upgrades that the machine can pretty much natively take, I'm all about that.
Yes, I have to admit,
oh, sorry, Bruce. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I do enjoy trying to cram whatever I can into an old Mac. I mean, the two old ones that are sitting behind me, my iMac and my MDD. I mean, they're maxed out as much as I can make them now. The MDD doesn't have any SSDs in it yet. I'm working on that, but the iMac G5 does. I mean, it's got every upgrade I could conceivably shove into it. It's got the full 2.5 gigs of RAM, which was very hard on DDR2, by the way. And, it's got the 250 gig Samsung SSD in it. And, of course, it's got the SD card reader, too. So, I mean, I have tons of space there. So, but, unfortunately, upgrades really weren't much on it. But, I thought about taking one of my old G4s because I have so many of the damn things, and stripping down an old Mac Mini or something and trying to shove it in there somewhere, some way, just for cool sake, because I like the look of I love the look of the G4 cases. They're just so cool compared to the tiny little Mini. Not that the Mini looks bad or anything, just.
I should also say that,
but you can have this humongous tower.
It also has to do with respect for not necessarily the brand, but for the machine. We mostly have a history with these Apple machines, and we love them, and nostalgia and all that. I could not fathom chopping up an MDD G4 to make it a Hackintosh. I would rather burn it in a ritualistic fire in the backyard and send it off on its way than put PC parts in there. But I have some stuff in the garage, a Sun Spark Station. Don't know what it is. I would chop that up in a second and put a G4 in it. So
no, don't do that. I'll take it.
Yeah. Your living room is full, buddy.
Not your problem.
But yeah, it does have something to do, I guess, with respect for whatever product is in front of you.
It's like back when I first got back into this, and shortly before I met all you guys, so I got a whole load of G5 Macs, and a couple of them were the real low end models, the single processor like 1.6 models, the real crap end models, and I thought there's a website online where you can actually buy a new front panel and a new rear panel and actually fit a PC board into the G5 case. And I'd actually thought about doing that. And then I thought, no, it's a Mac. It's like there's just something, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to hack a PC into a Mac case. So, of course, I had no intention of hacking Tasha. I was just going to run Windows on it, but
there are limits. Right. Like in science, you do not create a 5-headed dog just because you can. There's rules against that. You don't do it. You do not put PC parts in a Mac enclosure. That's just you go too far, you'll burn in hell. Don't do it. But, it's written in a book somewhere.
I have to admit, some of the mods that I've seen people do to the iMac G4 lampshade have been really cool. Where you can actually adapt that display to work as and you can either get it to work as an external monitor, or when people have actually gone in and put Intel computers inside those and running them, and they're able to create them in really neat and tidy. They're all completely enclosed within the little bubble at the bottom, and so you can make a really, really neat and tidy sort of Hackintosh. It's not really a Hackintosh; it's more of a Franken-Mac. But I really love some of the mods out there for the lampshade.
There's some very creative people out there.
Yep.
I've seen one. It always stuck with me because I would like to recreate it at some point. It's a G5 that when you open the hatch, it comes down like that, and there's a mini bar inside. Cocktail shaker and a mirror in the back. It looks slick. I want that.
Dear.
Oh my gosh.
So that would be J approved then, right?
That is J approved. Yep.
But are you going to put RGB lighting in it to
Nope.
emphasize the back bar?
Nope. Don't get started with me, Dave. Nope.
Well, since Dave brought up the subject, let's move on to RGB lighting. What are the pros and cons and Jay's final words? So, I don't know. I don't understand. Okay, I personally don't understand the entire obsession with RGB lighting in computers. Okay, and that is probably because I grew up in the 80s where such things didn't exist, where computers barely even existed. So, I don't see what the point is.
I've just got to check something here really quickly. I would just think, quick show of hands, who here is not a fan of RGB lighting? Just on the panel here.
Inside a computer.
Inside a computer.
Good.
Okay. So Dave likes it.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with it. Okay, all right. Yeah.
See, Dave did a mod to his cube. He put a little light behind the Apple logo. It's tasteful. It's just a soft white light. It's beautiful. But when I see a computer with all kinds of colors shooting out of every vent hole, I'm like, oh, it's a 5-year-old. You want a light? No, it's a full-grown man playing computer games.
No, your mic's gone. Your mic's gone. Sorry. But the funny thing is that it's not even just computers. I mean, people end up putting those in their houses as well. They put them in, like all these RGB lighting in their bathroom or something like that, so they can walk into the bathroom and have red lights. I don't get that. I just don't understand. I don't understand what the attraction is, why you would actually want to have some sort of multicolor remote control so you can, I don't know, change the color of your kitchen or something like that. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. But
Still distorting.
yeah, I think we've decided it's the microphone. Have to get a new microphone.
I'm on the camera audio now, so I'm sorry.
Yep.
It sucks.
Right. Still audible. It's all good.
But yeah, I don't know how much of my rant came across. Trust me, it wasn't good.
Trust me, we got the gist of it.
Yeah, I definitely think we got the gist of it, and I agree with you totally. I mean, if you look at it from the practical side of things, where once upon a time.
By the way, I got red here, I got blue there, and my microphone's still messed up.
When computers were just boring beige boxes, or whatever the case may be, and then sort of like Apple were making computers that were more interesting to look at. I mean, even things like sort of their laptops that were considered really nice looking, and things like the G5 towers and the Mac Pro towers, or they're something that stand out rather than just being an ugly boring grey box that looks like every other grey box. And I guess that's what's happening with the RGB lights. They're trying to make these things stand out. They're trying to make them look a little bit more interesting, but it just to me seems a little bit on the tacky side. So that's just me. That's my personal taste. Keeping in mind, of course, I am old. So
I know. I mean, like for me, when I put the light in the cube, I tried to kind of envision it as if Apple had done it, because you get like the MacBook Pros and all that to have the light, the older ones that have the lights in them. And then I also did that on the iSight G5 iMac. I put a light on that because it lends itself very good for that. And again, I tried to do it maybe the way they would have done it back in the day. I had a passing thought. I might stick a RGB that would alternate in there, but I said, I can't do it. I got to put a light in there. Yeah.
No, you were channeling the spirit of Steve Jobs, yelling at Johnny Ive. To make sure that it turned out tasteful.
So Kate's boyfriend thought of a way that I haven't thought of before. I ridicule people that do RGB. Her boyfriend went straight to shaming. Well done. Well done. It seems to work better than what I do. So I might adopt that same philosophy there.
I mean, I have RGB lighting sort of in my bedroom going around the ceiling.
And he's got mirrors on the ceiling. And
I don't have any mirrors on the ceiling. They don't change colors. They don't do it. It's just And actually, it's not truly RGB. It's red, green, blue, and orange. So there's actually some orange in there.
Oh, that's right.
So,
I have seen those lights. You've live streamed from there before, or you've been on the chat from there before. Yeah.
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 So they're in my bedroom, and they're. I actually use them when I'm watching television because it's not so much that it kind of drowns out my television in terms of light, and it lights up the room enough that I can still see, but not, not crazy. But yeah, my computer is still as dull as the day it came out of Apple's factory. And truthfully, I mean, it's a Mac Pro. It is sitting on the floor, so what would the point be of me putting RGB in it? However, on the other side of things, so the Cube project that I would like to work on, probably starting next year, I am actually thinking about doing some lighting in that, not RGB though. Probably some soft white, not real bright, just enough to kind of accent the machine, not make it look like a tacky end table.
Yeah, there's definitely uses for RGB. I have a light strip behind my television that I can control with one of those remotes. So that when I'm watching TV, I put a dull orange or white behind it, so it helps my eyes. So you're not laser focused on a big screen and the rest of the room is black. It helps your eyes relax. What Steve is doing, and Ken from Computer Clan, and pretty much everybody, having some nice lights in the background to spruce it up a little when you're making a video, I'm all for that. Don't stick it in your computer. You're not a 2-year-old. Come on. You're not running a brothel.
Sean says his cube looks like a brothel. It's nice.
Oh dear, this is a stupid topic. Let's move on.
Okay. Who wants to play a game?
Sure. Eep, if you have. Quack, if you
I'm
have.
gonna let Bruce. Bruce is going to take over from here.
Okay, I'll do this bit. All right. Okay, so everyone knows the rules of Eep, Quack. I'm going to say something, and if you have, you need to eep, and if you haven't, you need to crack into the chat.
You're the same as GT. You say everybody knows the rules, then you still explain it.
It's what a good host is supposed to do, and a bad host. Have you ever accidentally pressed the eject key instead of the delete key?
Eep.
Anyway.
Eep.
Eep.
Whack.
I did it 5 seconds ago. The tray is still open.
And
now, if the question was, has your cat ever hit the eject key on your keyboard, then I could eat thousands of times.
Whack.
I can't tell you how many times I used to come out to my computer and my CD tray was open.
My cats know better than to get on my desk.
So we're going to just single a few people out here. Following up to the last question, have you ever accidentally pressed the eject key instead of the delete key? Have you ever done it more than 3 times in a single day?
Eep.
Yep.
Eep, eep.
Yeah, it's my party trick, I have to say. Stupid eject key. We've got a lot of eeps for the first one. We've definitely narrowed it down a little bit for the second one, so people clearly are not as stupid as I am, but that's okay. We already knew that. So, moving on to the next one. This one's from Retro Techie. Have you ever sold a Mac and sometime later offered to repurchase it from the buyer?
Whack.
I'm going to sort of half eep that one, just based on what I was mentioning before about the that card. So many years ago, I traded a whole bunch of Mac clone parts and RAM and cache and stuff. I traded those for an SE30, and I have just sort of made contact with that person recently, as I mentioned earlier in the show, and I'm looking to sort of buy back or trade back some of those parts, some of the CPUs and stuff that I gave him back all those years ago. So that's a sort of
That's
a half
cool
eep.
story, but that's an eep.
Yeah, I guess it is an eep. It is an eep. Yeah, it is an eep.
Well, I years ago I sold a 20th anniversary Mac, and Yeah, in retrospect, I kind of wish I never got rid of it, but so I guess that's kind of a eep. But I didn't try to buy it back. No.
Yes, it's probably appreciated in value a little since then. So
Yeah,
yeah.
especially
One of
all
them,
the mods I did to it.
one of them sold here on eBay just recently for Australian dollars, of course. I think it was 1750, something like that. 1750 or 1760 or something like that. So, you know, I mean, I've seen some of them go for over the $2,000 mark, but you're not always going to have the buyers for that. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely a desirable computer, not by me, but by some.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on to the next one. I think we've got definitely a few people, I think, who have done it, but most of them are quacking to that one. So. Another one from Retro Techie. Have you ever painted or modded a computer you own to personalize it? Well, this is something fits in with what we've been talking about here. That's painted.
Quack.
Yeah, I think I'll have to quack that as well.
Eep only by association.
You didn't do it.
One in your possession, but not responsible for it.
Yep.
Yeah, I just I don't think I ever have. But yeah, if Steve was here, of course, it'd be a different story. Yeah, we'd have a good solid eep then.
We have a liar in our midst.
Yeah,
Sean.
Quack. That's right. He painted his black. That's right.
Well, actually, he didn't paint it black, did he? He painted it with paint remover and destroyed it. Sorry, I'm just rubbing that in. Sorry.
You rubbed it in too a bit too much.
Yeah.
That's some that's okay. Following up on that Eep Quack, has anyone ever bejeweled their Mac or
bedazzled? Yes. No, quack.
Please give me nothing but quacks. Quack for me.
Oh dear. All right. Okay, I will move on to the next one. This is an interesting one. This one is from Nick, Apple's Anonymous. And he has said, have you ever found some apple piece covered in mouse poop, but then cleaned it off and thought, that should be okay?
Eep.
Quack.
Yep. If it's for personal use, I will thoroughly clean it. If I'm going to give it to someone else, like, okay, wipe, here you go.
Now,
Don't make a big deal of it.
if it was a PC, yes, eep.
I wouldn't even wipe it down if it was a PC.
Yes, I mean, I've ended up getting computers with all sorts of stuff in and on them.
Those extra accessories.
Yeah, that's right. That's just
those
the
mods
nature
and upgrades.
Yeah, just what happens with the Macs that make their way to me. So, yes. All right. Well, that's all the eeps and quacks, I think. So,
I have one more I would like to add.
Please.
Is everybody here, us, and in the chat, subscribed to Dave's channel?
Quack.
You would, Mike.
Of course, I'm subscribed. I was subscribed when he had less than 100 subscribers, I think. I don't remember.
All right, the first quack gets booted out. No pressure.
Okay, I'm putting Nick Lopez in timeout.
Yep, he's banned. Okay, thanks for joining.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, more eeps than quacks. That's a good sign, Dave. You're doing something right.
All right, cool.
Although I have to admit that I just saw Kate's latest video today because apparently I did not have notifications turned on. So make sure that you have notifications turned on by clicking that bell icon next to the subscribe button.
Yeah. As we always say, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, do what you have to do.
And then on top of that,
Smash that like button.
I thought that's what Bruce was going to do. I was waiting for that.
No, I did the other one. I did the other saying. I don't need to say the other one anymore. I get paid when you press the button, so that's fine.
yeah, it
Dave's
costs $5
plastic
every time we use
polishing
that.
video is what got me subbed. I'm curious now how Dave polishes plastic.
Very
It must be
carefully.
impressive if you get people to subscribe to you, just wiping down plastic.
Well, you know, there's one thing we did not talk about earlier, and that's retrobriting.
Well,
Well,
we're getting to that.
we're actually just about to talk about retro
Okay,
writing.
good. All right.
Yes. So I guess this is the question: to retrobrite or not to retrobrite? What do people think?
Well, before I take a nap, can I just give my 2 cents?
Please.
I was going to try it on one of these machines. I always thought retrobrite was a term that people use to clean up their Macs and make them less beige. But it turns out it's an actual product that they sell on Amazon. So I'm like, maybe I should try it. And it's like $20. No, they're gonna stay yellow. I like them where they're at. So that was my 2-minute endeavor into retrobrite.
This is all you need, my friend, right here.
Yeah,
Just
I don't
peroxide,
have
isn't it?
hair. I don't have that sort of product in my house.
Now that'll burn the rest of it off.
Yes, I mean, to just give people a rough idea if they're not aware, it's essentially just painting some peroxide onto the surface of the yellowing plastic. I think you then expose it to UV light for an extended period of time, and then you clean it all off. And if you've done it well, you will remove the yellow and restore the beige. The platinum. Platinum is what it should be.
Or beige.
Or beige, yes, that's right.
Or
If we're
white.
talking the early Mac Pluses and before, beige, and then the later Mac Pluses and onwards into platinum.
But since Dave has experience, let's let him talk.
Well, there are many, many ways of retrobriting your, whatever it's a PlayStation, computer, Mac, PC, whatever. And I've tried a lot of them, but the easiest and no-brainer for me, like I said, this is women's bleaching cream for their hair. Please don't chew on my cord, Nick. And anyway, so, excuse me, I have a technical difficulty with the cat here. Snick, don't be chewing on my headphones. There you go. All right. So anyway, basically what you do, and you can do this, let me get this just right. So you can do this. I've done it without any UV lighting. Takes a lot longer, but it works. And the reason for that is what you're doing is you're basically you're changing the molecules. Oh, excuse me, just a second. Snick, don't do that. Okay, all right. You're changing the molecular structure of things, and you're getting rid of all these free radicals that leach out of the plasticizers or the bromide that they use in the injection molding process to keep the mold from catching on fire in the material in there. And what happens is the bromide leaches out after a while. UV is a big contributor of it, but it's not the only UV. It's environmental. It could be extreme heat just generated by the machine, where it's at. If it's stored in the attic or something like that, there's this smoking. All those things can contribute to it. But that works really good. Excuse me one more time. I'm taking care of the kitty here. So anyway, that works really good. But obviously, if you take it outdoors, the ultraviolet does react to the hydrogen peroxide. It starts making it bubble, and it excites the material in there, and that's what you're doing. Now, retrobriting, it won't last forever, and it just depends on how much of that stuff is in there, because that bromide is all throughout the plastic. You're just basically just taking it off the surface. So it might last you 10 years, might last you 6 months. It just depends. And I've had pretty good luck with all the stuff I've done, and they still look great, and they're even by windows. And what I do is I brush it on, and I don't wrap it up with anything, because a lot of people like to wrap it up and stuff. Well, the problem with that is the plastic is against it, and it can't get the oxygen, and that's why you get a lot of those weird patterns in it.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people getting patterns when they use plastic.
And that's usually what the culprit is. So you just take, and about every half hour, just go back and just rebrush it. You want to add a little bit more, you can. That's fine. And just be patient. It'll do its thing. You can do it out. Of course, now if it's outside and it's hot, it's going to dry out. So you're going to want to brush it and move it around more. But it works really good. And you just neutralize it with soap and water. Dawn dishwashing soap works really good. It takes all the stuff off of it. Takes any kind of, I can't say mold release, but any of that stuff takes it off of it. So it works really good. For me, if I have an older machine and I want it kind of looking like it was in a museum in pristine condition, I'm going to retrobrite it. Some people don't like to do that, and that's just all a matter of preference. Now, also, like I said, there are different ways of retrobriting it, and actually, there's some people that just put out in the sun, and yeah, you're bleaching it out, but what you're going to do is you're going to make the plastic more brittle, because these plastics cannot absorb the ultraviolet, all the photons that we get from the UVA. And that's 95% that gets through the atmosphere. The UVB, a little bit, UVC, that's used in medical hospitals on certain things to sterilize bacteria and stuff, kill germs. So we don't have to worry about that. But it will make it brittle. It will speed it up. And
I have two questions for you, Dave, if I may.
Sure.
The first one is actually, Kate's question here. Will the retrobriting damage things like the name of the Mac or the colored logo on it? So if if let's say we're doing a Macintosh Plus, it's got the little logo in there and it's got the word Macintosh Plus, can you just paint it on that with impunity, or do you have to be careful around those?
I've never had any issue with it. It's never faded it. But what I do though is if I get it on there, I just go with the Q-tip and just kind of get the excess out. On the silk screen, because all that those are usually all put in by silk screen. That's pretty good stuff that's on there, and I haven't had any problem with that. But again, I just usually kind of wipe it off a little bit on that. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. My second question is there any evidence to say that doing this will weaken the plastic at all?
Scientifically, probably. But you'd have to do it a long time and keep repeatedly do it. And truthfully, what will do more damage is if you sit it out in the sun and it gets the full ultraviolet. That's what's going to wreck it after a while. Yeah, it might lighten it up and bleach it out, but like I said, this material cannot absorb the ultraviolet and the photons. I don't need to get too scientific here, but and that what releases the free radicals in it, and that's what starts breaking down things. Mm-hmm. And a good example of that is you go to some of these I like these little weather stations, it's all wireless and it gives you all the information. Yeah. I don't know what plastic they used on that, but it didn't last a couple years and it was like brittle as a potato chip.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I mean, you spend a couple $100 for this thing and it worked great. So there are things nowadays there are things they can do in the injection molding process that will inhibit it and make it last a whole lot longer. A good example is like shrink tubing, the material they make that out of, and then also snap, please don't do that. And then these little zip ties, wire ties, they put stuff in that too, and that really helps. Those hold up pretty good.
If they just could have done that during the Spindler era of Apple computer when they were manufacturing the computer cases.
Yep.
Well,
absolutely.
I think part of the problem that the plastics are so brittle on those computers is that if you ever took notice from the Mac Plus and the SE and the 2, to like the LCs and the Quadras, the plastic, the actual plastic is thinner. It's like they didn't use nearly as heavy a plastic.
Well, I can
And
give you one example where I'm quite sure it is the makeup of the plastic, not just the thickness. And that is if you have a Macintosh Color Classic and you have a Macintosh, say, LC580, something like that. Now, those computers have a little I/O cover on the back, and it sort of hooks in at the bottom, and then it clips in with little plastic tabs that you pull down.
Yeah, they always break.
Well, the Color Classic ones, they don't break. Those little tabs are the same thickness as the ones on the LC580. But on the LC580, or the 575 for that matter, when you bend those tabs down, they just snap off. So I do believe it is more than just the thickness, that there is definitely the makeup of the plastic they use during that era, which is a real shame because it's only going to get worse, and we're going to have a lot of Macs that people, are going to want to collect, and they're just going to fall apart.
Yeah.
If only not everybody in this Apple community was so cheap, and somebody would just buy a 3D printer the size of a room. We could be printing all these cases.
Punching them out. Yeah. Well, wouldn't it be wonderful if Apple actually released 3D models of all of their cases? How nice would that be? And then we could just scale them to whatever size we wanted.
That would be really awesome.
Yeah.
Now, if someone is new to beige, let's say, hey, and I'm like, hey, I want to fix up these computers before I let them go. They're a little brown, a little beige and yellow, and why don't I just pour some bleach on it and see how it goes? Would that be a good idea?
Never tried that.
As far as I know, it wouldn't really do anything.
And I think that the main thing with why they use obviously like the creams is that they will stay in that location and not just drip off or evaporate away. You're going to get them on there lasting a long time. So obviously the two things that you're wanting to do when you're doing a retrobrite is A, obviously brighten it up, get rid of that discoloration, but B, you don't want to do it in blotches. You don't want one area to be brighter than another part, and that I think is the big challenge. And that's where you hear of most of the failed retrobrites, and when someone has gone to do it and the end result has been having blobs of light bits and blobs of dark bits, and it ends up looking even worse than it did.
Which is acceptable these days. I mean, look at Dave's yellow Mac and Sean's first Mac. A few blotches shouldn't really hurt the value of the machine, right? You can call it Cameo Mac. So.
But look, I mean, what I will say is that from my standpoint, I have never ever retrobrited anything. I really don't have any desire to. I have a sort of a curiosity about it. I kind of would like to just see how it goes, but I have just learned to embrace the beige over the years, as long as what's inside works. I'm much more frustrated by the brittle plastics than I am by the discoloration. I'm really not particularly fussed about the discoloration. If I've got a computer where it's had a monitor sitting on it the whole time, and you've got a little square of platinum and then the rest is yellow, I find them a little bit of an eyesore, but on the whole, I really don't care if they're yellow or if they're grey or whatever the case may be. So
yeah,
that's my personal preference.
Jay will tell you I'm more function over form. I'd rather the machine work fine than be aesthetically pleasing. As my Mac Pro, the one I'm using right now, is an absolute disaster looking wise. I mean, I know that's aluminum, but
hey.
I've never been a real big person to say, "Ooh, it's like I gotta make this look as wonderful as I can." I'd just rather have the machine look the way it does,
Yep.
But I have run across a few machines over the years, that I would like to have restored back to their original glory. But, until, I don't know, probably the last 10 years or so, nobody really knew how. It was just the way it's just the aging of the machine, It's just like, Jay's going to get liver spots here in a couple of years because he's getting old. That's just the way things are. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as I keep using this quality $5 LED light for the shows that makes me look orange, I think they'll blend in. It's supposed to be white light, but it's not.
Oh, so there's our opinions on the Retrobrite. So
And there's I saw another another gentleman. He's a chemist, and so what he did he tried to get a patent on it, but his lawyer said no, there's no way, it's too dangerous. But what he did is he used methanol. He used in a beaker 2 drops of sulfuric acid, 2 drops of sulfuric acid, and then he actually put something in there and introduced chlorine gas. And then it made this clear methanol turn to a kind of a yellowish color. And then he put this piece in there, 10 minutes, white. But he also said that he's experimented with it. He goes, if you leave it in too long, he goes, you can just tap it on the counter and it'll break in a million pieces.
Yeah,
It works too good.
Yeah, that's yeah. That sounds like something you might take your computer to a specialist to do that for you rather than like a DIY at home. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is this where we should start giving disclaimers like we are not scientists, don't do this at home, and et cetera, et cetera?
Have a question from Kate?
I am not a chemist.
He is not a chemist.
I hang around a lot of smart people, so hopefully a little bit rubs off. But
Yeah, I did that too.
yeah, fair enough.
my brother-in-law used to work at NASA, so
That's
Well,
why
there
he's
you go.
here on Mac Yak. Surround himself with smart people. You know?
He's not going
right.
to tell you. He used to clean the floors there at NASA, but that's okay.
So we have enough time for one last little topic before we go into what were they smoking. So Dave has experience with repairing the inner bezels on the iMac G3. And as most of us know, the inner bezels on the iMac G3 are the absolute bane of our existence. They are the most brittle thing ever made. They put the classic platinum and beige Macs to shame. So Dave is going to share with us how he has repaired the iMac G3 inner bezels.
The bezel on this one right here, this is Ruby. It is made from ABS plastic, and it is, with this particular type of ABS plastic, it is a very successful. I can't talk today. It's very susceptible to getting brittle. And I think a lot of that's due to the CRT, because this thing just generates a ton of heat. It just bakes it, and it just dries it all out. So what you can do, if it's not too bad, if you get a few cracks, if you've got a mount that holds the CRT, there is an easy way to fix it. Now you do want to have good ventilation, goggles, gloves, but use 100% acetone, not the kind you get in women's nail polish, because that's too watered down. You have to use 100%. And what you're going to do is you're going to thermally bond this back together. You're melting it. And that'll work better than any kind of glue you can get out there. And so what you do is, let me see, maybe I can show you here. Because I don't have the bottom on this because I'm waiting to get that board back from DOS Dude. It's been a long wait. But anyway, I'm going to move my camera here just a little bit here. And let me see if I can zoom in on it here. Let's see here. Come on, zoom, 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 zoom. Yeah, that's you're going to zoom in. But right here, this had a big crack in it. There's a big crack here. There's a crack down here. Crack way down here. So I just pulled it together, and I used acetone in it, and on the Q-tip, and it gets real gooey. And you're going to keep working that in there. Now, if you're fortunate enough and you have some pieces, put that in some acetone. It'll get like bubble gum. And you can actually push that in there, keep melding it, and it's all going to be one piece again. It fuses it. If you have a standoff that's broken on a CRT, kind of the same thing. You're going to position it and just put that acetone all the way around it, and it cures out pretty quick. In about 10 minutes, it's hardening. So that's how I, just by trial and error, that's what I used to learn it, and it works really fantastic, pretty much in any ABS plastic. I've not tried it on an old Mac cover or anything like that. I've done it on the old white iBooks. Works fine on that because those are ABS plastic too, and those are easy to get the scratches out of. You just take real rough grit sandpaper, sand it, keep buffing it up, and you can get all the scratches and stuff, and you can polish them back up, and they look like brand new cases again because they're so thick. You're not going to notice a millimeter and a half of material gone. And then, like I said, if you're really anal about this, then you can actually take and sand this whole thing. I'm not worried about it. I just lightly sanded it because I have the bezel that goes over it, and you don't even see it. Some people use hot glue. Yeah, it's okay, but it's not a real permanent repair. I wanted something that's just more permanent.
Yes, that's just going to stick to the outside, isn't it? It's not really going to bond it right in the middle. Yeah.
Exactly. But like I said, if that bezel is shattered, it would be too hard to do. Even doing that, it'd just be too tedious to put it back together. So what you need, I'm hoping to find somebody that's got a big enough 3D printer that would be able to reproduce these. Man, they could make a lot of money.
Can I please just jump in very quickly, because I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I happen to know that is the next job, that is the next thing being made by the Mac Effects people.
Oh, really? Oh, awesome.
Really. I was chatting to, I'm not sure if people are familiar with the Mac Effects people, but the head of the Asia Pacific operations is a guy called Adrian Fanulovic, and I have had a chat with him about this. He's also the head of the president of the Australian Computer Museum Society, and he told me that they had found a pristine one and they had sent it off for getting ready for injection molding in China. So
wow.
Now I don't know where that is up to or whether it's gone on hold or anything like that, but that was what was happening, that they were actually going to be reproducing that inner bevel for the G3 iMac as one of their new products.
Nice.
So,
that would be freaking awesome.
And Bruce just violated about 16 NDAs. So
yeah, well, I mean, he told me very matter of factly. I don't remember him saying don't tell anyone, so I'm racking my brain now. But I don't think he said don't tell anyone. So if he did, my apologies, Adrian. But of course, I mean, I don't even know if it will sort of, that will go ahead. I mean, maybe plans will change. I mean, it costs a lot of money to get those things made properly. And of course, they send them across, they get the first revisions back, and there are usually problems with them. They have to then send them back to them, get them changed. I mean, it costs an awful lot of money to get stuff properly injection molded. But that is, as I understand it, that is the next thing that they have on their list of things. So,
cool. Hopefully they make them for both the tray loader and the slot loader, because they're completely different on the bottom.
Yeah. Anyhow. Yeah, so everyone, don't tell anyone, okay? Don't tell anyone, just in case I wasn't meant to tell you.
Didn't hear anything.
Well, look at it this way. I mean, if anything, this is just going to drum up even more interest for them, because that I know for a fact that is one of the most requested things in terms of restoring the iMacs, which are very popular machines to collect. I mean, I know personally Steve has at least 30 of them. And I'd say probably at least 3/4 of them have destroyed bezels. So
cute kitty, Jay.
meatball.
Meatball, all right.
He is meatball and spaghetti. Or is that spaghetti?
The cat is extremely uncomfortable right now.
He's
Which
not
one
used to
is
that.
Jay? Is that spaghetti?
That was meatball.
Oh, it was meatball? Okay.
Meatball.
Meatball can fly.
Gotcha. So we got one more thing here. So we got a crackhead over in the UK. We're going to see what they were smoking tonight. So
Goldman.
I don't know what anybody thinks an Apple CD600 goes for, but here we go.
What?
So this is now I'm looking at this from the US, so this is going to be US prices. But
why is it a polka dot being sold on the UK what? I don't get what.
Maybe
Oh no, you are looking it on the UK site. I see. Yep.
Okay, well that was the link that was in the notes, so that's why I used it.
Yeah.
So yes, Jonathan Goldman apparently is involved, aka Mr. Polka Dots. So, hey, it's Fat
Steve.
Boy.
Hi, Steven.
That's too rare to me. No, thank you. I bid $1.
So, for those who are not in the know, the Apple 600i CD-ROM is simply a 4-speed Sony SCSI CD-ROM drive. It's nothing special. The only thing that makes it special is the fact it has an Apple logo on the label on the top, and it does not have a headphone jack, volume control, or an access light because it's meant to be behind a bezel. Other than that, it's just a regular old SCSI CD-ROM drive.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've got this. I can't be seen at the moment. I'm right underneath that thing, so I'll wait till. There we go. I can be seen now. I have this external CD-ROM drive. This is a caddy loading one here in the external case, all 100% functional. I might sell this and secure myself some tickets to come over and see you guys in the US. Eh? Stay in some luxury accommodation.
As long as you fly cargo
$5,000
freight.
Australian, easy.
Yeah, you get some cargo freight there, Bruce, on a boat, maybe.
Dear.
Oh,
That is silly.
This is supposedly a pre-production prototype.
Yeah, how?
Everything he sells is a pre-production prototype, including the carpets.
I mean, I'm sorry. Anybody could slap a label on anything and claim it as otherwise.
Well, actually, if this label on top is actually correct, he is actually right on that. Because it says directly, this device has not been approved by the FCC. This device may not be offered for sale or lease or sold or leased until the approval.
But see, all that sticker means is that this was an evaluation sample of a manufactured drive that Sony gave to Apple. I'm
not saying.
I mean,
that doesn't make it anything.
Exactly. Evaluation only sample. All right, it's cool that it's a prototype thing, but unless it has some functionality that doesn't exist in a production retail version, who cares? I wouldn't pay $10 for a drive like that.
Now, Steve, I do need to ask you a question, given the fact that you haven't been here.
Yes.
Just got to ask you a question related to where you have just been. Do you think they'll go through with it?
Yes.
Okay. Good news.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to have to go through all these topics again now, aren't we, and get Steve's input?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, let's do it.
Michael, fill me in this weekend at VCF East.
Yes. So as Justin Morgan says, he's smoking pre-production crack.
That's the crack you get before it's produced. Yeah, there you go.
Yes. That is some very good crack.
I'm sorry, if anybody's paying that much for a SCSI CD-ROM, no thank you. Especially an Apple one, a 4X one? Is that even a 4X one?
Yeah, it's a CD600.
No thank you. Even the 4X are slow.
Truthfully, the one that Bruce has, the CD300i, that one is actually worth more money than this. Simply because it's the first one that Apple did make, and they didn't really make it, it's a Sony drive. But it's the first one that Apple released, and it's external, so it's
got the logo. Yeah,
it's got the actual logo on it.
And you can listen to CDs with the headphones.
This doesn't even have an Apple logo on it. I mean, if you want to pay $1,000 for a
this comes from a seller who has admitted that they take the Apple 800K Apple II drives and swap out the internal and put in a different drive to make it more rare. So
Yeah.
no,
Now, if
thank
you want to see a rare drive, here's a rare drive.
Ooh,
So this is a
Yamaha
Steve's.
burner.
Yeah, this is Steve's actually. But this
That's
is
how I recognized it.
this is a Yamaha SCSI. It's a SCSI 2 CD burner. External CD burner. Now those are pretty uncommon.
Yeah, and so the reason those were still popular even after USB came out is because of compatibility issues. Because my father got the AGP G4 450 megahertz model and bought a USB CD burner, only to find out it wasn't compatible with whatever the G4 was spitting out. So he had the SCSI card, so he had to get the SCSI CD burner.
So that was made in 2000. So that was at the very end of SCSI's lifetime. So
I had a SCSI optical drive. I sent it to you, Steve. I don't know if it was a burner or just a CD-ROM.
I think it was just a CD-ROM, but it was like the one that Bruce had. It was very long in the case, and I mean, even if the drive is dead in those cases, you could put a blue SCSI in there. You could do whatever you want, with those cases. The cases are great because it'll have all the SCSI connectors for you. And
why does no one have a beige Mac with a Blu-ray burner in it yet?
Because that would be silly. Because the operating system wouldn't understand how to burn a Blu-ray.
Someone can figure it out. Come on.
And of course, a lot of the beiges are SCSI. Do you think anyone makes a SCSI Blu-ray?
You would have to do like SCSI to IDE to SATA and all this. No, thank you.
Come on, get to it.
Now,
I'll leave that to you, Jay.
Steve, I've been following your live streams on the Quadra 840 AV. You've been having ongoing problems with it. I have a solution for you. There it is.
All right, give me $2,000. We'll talk.
You can just abandon the old one, grab this one here for the.
I bet you that one is all leaky as well.
Probably.
But it's working.
Yeah, okay. For until it gets shipped, and every little piece of plastic in that just gets destroyed. The one person in Bayonne, New Jersey, I never want to see.
Yeah, well.
I didn't know you ever wanted to see anybody in Bayonne, New Jersey.
Well, that's the last person I want to see in Bayonne, New Jersey.
So,
if you want to make a trip there this weekend, we can go there.
Great.
Get your iHammer Pro. That's what we'll need.
I'm going to get the iHammer Ultimate.
Should we take a moment to talk about the little excursion that you're going on, Steve? The old VCF thing?
Yeah, so
as soon as we're done with the crack smoking.
All right, well, I'll wait for Mike's signal.
Oh no, we're good. Go ahead.
Okay, so Mike and I are going to go to VCF East. That's in Wall, New Jersey, this weekend. So Sean of Action Retro is also going to be there too. But Mike and I are going to be setting up there. We'll have a table next to Sean. I'm going to bring some cool stuff to set up. Mike's going to bring some cool stuff to set up, and we're going to have a good old fashioned geeky time. I know a few of the guys in the who follow us on YouTube and all the stuff, even some of the people who were in the Mac Yak chat today said they might be coming, so that's exciting. So a bunch of people will be there. There's a consignment type thing they're doing where you bring something and you sell it, and the festival makes a little money, you make a little money. So there'll be that going on. Someone's going to bring a one of those Weather Channel weather station 4,000 units or whatever to have on display. There was one of them on Twitter they posted a picture of. So it's a good old-fashioned nerd fest. I don't think it's going to be as large as the venue that Midwest was, but judging from the photos that they had from years prior, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So Mike and I are going to lug a bunch of crap there and probably lug some crap back.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be big to be fun.
No,
I mean, we went to the flea market earlier this year at the VCF event area, and it wasn't huge. There might have been like 30 people there, like selling.
Yeah, 30
stuff.
vendors. Yeah,
but it's still. I mean, we made a day of it. I loved it. I was in heaven.
Oh yeah.
Know? Even though I had very limited funds to buy anything, I still walked out with some damn good deals, and I like being around like-minded individuals.
Yeah, it's fun talking to the people.
So well.
And I have to ask this, are you both going to have lots of space in the vehicles that you're taking?
I'm taking the minivan.
Awesome. That is what I like to hear.
And because he's driving the minivan, I don't have to take the minivan because I can only fit so much crap in my Saturn.
So this I don't think this event is really going to have like a sale type thing. Like I said, there's sort of this consignment thing.
Consignment.
Yeah. So people will have stuff to bring. I already know of one person who's bringing something that I paid them for, that they're driving down from Massachusetts or wherever, where they're going to give me something, and then I have something that I have to give to somebody else. So there's a bunch of crap in the car. So that's gonna be fun. Sean's gonna pack his car full. He promised a scary surprise, so I'm afraid.
Oh jeez.
There's gonna be some prototypes involved from Mike's Avenue, some weird IBM stuff.
I think GT is right on his prediction.
Mike could tell you how packed the van was for the festival.
Oh my God.
In April.
It wouldn't have been so bad if he would have just thrown stuff in like willy-nilly. He just threw crap in everywhere.
No, it was organized.
I wanted to get a ride from it. The damn passenger seat was taken up by a CRT.
Hey! When there are 2 Apple Studio ADC CRTs for sale, you don't pass up on it.
So I had to get a ride from Sean in his freaking BMW. It was hell.
It was only hell.
I would rather sit in the front seat of the Chrysler minivan than the hybrid BMW 350 something he's got.
It was only terrible because you couldn't get out of the seat because it was so low. That's all.
So here's the takeaway.
That was
the choice
Jay, your robot.
My microphone gone again.
Jay looks so thrilled.
So, but for anybody going to VCF in Wall, New Jersey this weekend, so of course Steve and I are going to be there. The iMac prototype is going to be making an appearance on Sean's table. It's going to be set up for people to play games on. And I am taking this so people can actually see it. And on Steve's table, I am going to be taking an IBM.
I know, he's christening my table. I like my definition of RGB. Really go bzzz.
And Mike, you are encouraging everyone that visits your table to take an SD card and really test that slot in the back, right?
Yes, I am taking an SD card with me, a very small one, but I am taking an SD card with me. So that, well, maybe I should take the really large one just to prove that it does work with the 64 gig card.
No one will pay that much close attention.
Because we all really want to know if maybe Apple did not go through with this design is because it breaks after 10 or 50 or 500 ejects of an SD card. We want to
Mike is going to be sitting there. 1, 2, 3.
Well, I can tell you for a fact that I have used the CF reader on this computer many, many, many times, and I have never had issues with it. Because actually, this is the only. This is screwed up. This is the only thing in my house that'll read a CF card. I don't have any. I have no other way of reading the damn CF card in my house but this iMac. I can read SD cards until the cows come home.
Yeah.
But this is the only computer I have that actually will read a compact flash card, which is funny, actually.
Some people will buy a USB dongle. He gets a prototype iPad.
It does the same thing.
Hell? If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's
So Mike is going to bring his goodies. I'm bringing the G3 blue and white with the Voodoo 5 card, so people could experience Unreal Tournament at a silly speed on that machine. I'm going to bring the M-Power APS clone and an Image Writer 2, a weird convoluted camera setup with a printer and some other garbage. So
he's bringing a quick take.
A quick take. If I could find the darn batteries for it, yes.
And he's going to bring the Image Writer LQ because he just needs to work out.
No, I don't think I could carry that thing. I have the carrying bag for the 2, not the LQ.
And then on top of it, he's also going to bring his Molar Mac, since we're doing crap we found at the e-waste place.
Nope.
So he's going to bring the Molar Mac because it's not. He has nothing. He has no weight set in his house, so the guy needs to work out a little bit.
Okay, so he needs to bring a Laser Auto 2 NTX as well.
a 36-inch CRT television set. Oh gosh. Justin, was that a Voodoo 5 AGP or a PCI one? I'm curious. But yeah, so that'll be happening if you're in the Jersey area at VCF East. Stop on by. If not, they are streaming some of the goodies and events and stuff on their website. So check that out.
I just need to know if that Unreal Tournament computer is hooked up to the internet.
There will be internet there. I'm not sure if it's how accessible it is, but I plan.
The moment it's not.
I plan on. I'll bring a hub at least because I want to put the clone and the G3. I'll put a Voodoo 2 in the clone, and then the G3 will have the Voodoo 5, and we could do some little mini LAN party, whatever's.
Nice.
And then I can hook the IBM up and try to run Unreal Tournament on that.
And then when there's a crater in the ground with fire coming out of it, we know what happened.
So that's what Steve and I are doing this weekend. Yes, we will be taking film. So, hopefully we'll have something to show off for it. So I don't really care what Bruce or Jay are doing because they don't really matter. Because I'm going to go be a geek for the weekend. This is my vacation. I have not had time off from work since I started working at this place. I took one day off work.
And you're spending it with me. This is scary.
And I'm spending an entire weekend in New Jersey at Steve's house. So I'm sure his wife will freaking hate me by Sunday.
Hey, she's not going to be around because there's a whole wedding going on. So enjoy.
So it's just going to be me, Steve, a cat, and the rabbits.
Yeah. Fun times.
And while I realise that Jay and I don't matter, what about you, Dave? Have you got anything interesting in the pipeline coming up?
I might possibly drag that fancy Mac Plus I have over there out, play with it a little bit more. I'm still waiting for Steve to shoot me some info on.
Yes, I never got your email, so you might have had a typo in there. But I'll text you my address so you could type it in correctly.
Okay.
We have to get you some proper drivers and support there to get that thing up and running. But that'd be great.
Yeah.
It looks like SpongeBob SquarePants had a bit of a tie-dye accent.
So Bruce,
Krabby Patty Winter Eye. There you
go. Yeah, look, I probably will. I've got some pre-recorded stuff that I need to do, but I am hoping to try and squeeze in a live stream at some stage tomorrow. That's probably about the only thing going on with me at the moment. Jay is definitely going to do more live streaming of his beige stuff
tonight. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
not tonight. I was saying before the show, FedEx keeps delaying my packages. The battery holders that were supposed to come in yesterday are now coming in tomorrow. The blue scuzzies are coming in on Saturday, and the UV laser pen is not here until next week, Tuesday. This weekend I will be assembling a blue scuzzy, just because that's going to be a thrilling 5-minute stream. And that's all I got planned.
What you have to do is you have to have the same exact shootout that I did with Bruce, and you both have to assemble it on the stream at the same time and do a race.
Yeah, but that's not fair because Bruce has 20,000 subs, and if I humiliate him to his audience, he's going to lose all those subs.
No, the agreement is that they come to you, so you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And it won't turn out like when I did it with Bruce, and it took me an hour to do it, and he was done with 2 at the same time.
Bruce cheats. He has a 3D printed jig.
Yeah, he does.
This is true.
Done.
And he also asks you specific questions where you have to think about and answer them as he's going. Burp, 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 burp.
Yeah.
But I know that at any given time, Bruce has multiple Blue Scuzzies and Scuzzy 2 SDs to put together. So we might make it a combo stream.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds good.
Jay versus Bruce. Dun, dun, dun.
Coming live.
No eeps will be spared.
And this is where the show deteriorates.
Well, Dave's here, so it's time to go.
He's been here.
So go to Discord, check us out on there. We might be there, we might not, probably not. But we do have a Discord server. I don't know about it, but it's there. Check out the website. I haven't been there either, but I know we have one. So
Mike hasn't been to a lot of places.
yeah,
But trust us, it's good.
yeah, you're right. I haven't been to a lot of places.
He's about to start a career in marketing as well.
Yes.
Let us know how that goes.
So, yes, join the Discord server. We have lots of stuff going on there. I'm not a big Discord user, so I don't know everything that's on there. The other guys do. So, but I've popped in there a couple times, and it's got some pretty cool stuff. And, of course, check out the website. We got all kinds of articles for you to peruse. So, on that note, we're done. Now go away.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for coming, Dave.
All right, thank you for having me.